Ah, the birth of a baby bat. An event full of hope, excitement, and oh wait, no, it's mostly just misery. Welcome to the world, little bat. First things first, your entrance into life is nothing short of graceful. You're born in a dark, dank cave, surrounded by other bats that are definitely not the maternal figures you've been dreaming of. There's no warm blanket, no loving lullaby, just cold stone walls, and the faint, echoing screeches of your siblings, who are equally confused and probably about to abandon you. Your tiny, fragile body is thrust into a world that doesn't care about your feelings. You're basically born into a flying species, but guess what? You don't know how to fly. So, you're left to figure it out. No big deal, right? After all, who needs wings when you can just flop around like a tiny blind disaster, just waiting to crash into something hard enough to knock the senses into you? Oh, and by the way, you're blind, which is absolutely fantastic because this whole flying thing requires vision and spatial awareness. But no worries, you'll just use echolocation. At least that's what your brain tells you to do. Except, right now, you've got zero control over it and a lot of walls to bounce off. So, in your first few days of life, you'll be living the dream of hanging upside down with zero coordination. Congratulations, you've somehow become a tiny, floppy, half-formed bat who can't fly, doesn't know how to cling to anything properly, and is basically a snack-sized target for any predatory creature that's sick of eating bugs and needs a little protein boost. What a time to be alive. And let's not forget the charm of your surroundings. The cave is filled with all sorts of wonderful life. Bats everywhere, just hanging around in your personal space, giving you that special brand of I could eat you at any moment vibe. You know, just in case you thought you were going to get any rest or peace of mind. But no, you're stuck in this claustrophobic, dark abyss, where nothing's ever quite as comforting as it seems. To make matters worse, while you're out here trying to survive, your mother, the oh-so-diligent bat mom, is probably just out there having a grand time hunting for insects and leaving you to fend for yourself. No pressure, right? You'll have to figure out how to cling to the ceiling soon enough or else. Because if you're not attached to that ceiling when mama gets back, well, you're basically doomed to a life of hanging in the middle of nowhere, caught in the perilous limbo between being an adorable little bat and being a delicious snack. What could be more fun than starting life as a small, blind, clumsy animal with a desperate need for food, shelter, and survival instincts that haven't quite kicked in yet? It's almost like the universe is giving you a crash course in existential dread, and you're barely even old enough to understand what existential means. Enjoy the ride, baby bat. It's only going to get worse before it gets better. Ah, the awkward teenage years. Just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, baby bat enters that phase where survival is less about not dying and more about not being a disaster. First of all, let's talk about the growing pains. You're starting to develop your wings. Congratulations. You're no longer a flopping embarrassment, but those wings, they're huge. And by huge, I mean completely uncoordinated. They flap in every direction except the one you want. Picture this. You're trying to take off, and instead of soaring gracefully into the night sky, you end up flailing around in a series of half-formed loops, crashing into anything with a solid surface. At least that wall was kind enough to cushion your fall, right? And here's the best part. You've got to eat. But guess what? You're still figuring out how to fly and hunt. So, you're left trying to catch insects while pretending you know what you're doing. This might be a good time to mention that your insects of choice are typically faster than you, far more skilled at flying, and much more aware of what's going on. So yeah, your success rate? Not exactly stellar. You're probably spending more time face planting into trees than you are actually eating. But hey, at least you get some entertainment watching your bugs zip away from you in utter disgust. Meanwhile, let's talk predators. Ah yes, those. You might think that being a bat is a one-way ticket to the top of the food chain. But nope, let's not forget that you're small, you're awkward, and your flying skills still resemble a toddler on a sugar high. You're prime real estate for just about anything that enjoys a good snack. Owls, they're practically waiting for you to make a wrong move. Hawks, oh, They'll be there, just waiting for you to fly straight into their waiting claws. And don't even get me started on snakes. Apparently, the skies aren't the only place where danger lurks. Who knew that being a bat meant needing to be on constant alert for predators above and below? Now, let's discuss that pesky survival instinct. You know, the one that says stay calm and hide when the world is actively trying to eat you. Unfortunately, that instinct doesn't come with a manual on how to hide. So, instead of seeking shelter like a sensible creature, you're more likely to end up in the middle of an open space, hanging upside down, looking like a delicious snack with zero idea how to blend in. You're just sitting there, minding your business, hoping no one notices your desperate flailing existence. As you grow, it becomes abundantly clear that adulthood isn't some magical finish line where all your problems end. Oh no, it's more like the beginning of an endless marathon. You've just mastered dodging predators. But now you've got to worry about finding a mate, which means getting all dressed up in your best wing-flapping, screeching fashion show routine. How could that possibly go wrong? But perhaps the most absurd struggle of all is this. You've spent your entire life learning how to fly, dodge predators, and basically survive in the most chaotic, upside-down, absurd world imaginable, only to realize that your best skills, your echolocation and aerial financier, now used mostly for navigating a world full of things you didn't even know were dangerous. A slight miscalculation, and boom, a dead bug splats right in your face. All that effort, and you're still facing a level of humiliation only a baby bat could truly understand. Survival? Sure, you're technically surviving, but at what cost? Constantly awkward, constantly running from danger, and trying to eat insects like a living version of Don't Try This at Home. Somehow, despite it all, baby bat keeps flapping. For now. Adulthood, a time when everything finally falls into place, right? Wrong. If you thought being a baby bat was tough, buckle up, because adult bat life is just a new level of chaos. Sure, you finally figured out how to fly without slamming into every wall like some kind of nocturnal pinball. But now you're dealing with the never-ending struggle of staying alive and keeping the next generation alive. Oh, joy. Let's start with food. Remember when you were learning to hunt and thought it couldn't get any worse? Surprise? It's still a disaster. Sure, you're better at catching bugs now, but your life is basically one long buffet line with a survival of the fittest theme. Every night, you've got to eat your body weight in insects just to keep going. That's hundreds of bugs every single night. Meanwhile, your wings are flapping like a wind-up toy, and you're dodging everything from predators to power lines. Because what's adult life without a constant stream of new hazards? Speaking of hazards, let's talk about your social life or lack thereof. As an adult bat, you're expected to contribute to the colony, which basically means cramming yourself into the tightest, most uncomfortable cave imaginable with thousands of other bats who are also stressed, hungry, and not particularly hygienic. Personal space? Forget it. And don't even think about complaining, because you'll get side-eyed by at least 500 of your closest neighbors who are just as miserable as you. Now, if you're lucky or unlucky, depending on how you look at it, you'll get to experience the absolute joy of mating season. Nothing says romance like screeching at each other in a dark cave while flapping your wings aggressively. It's a real fairy tale. And once you've found that special someone, congratulations. You've just signed up for even more responsibility. Because now it's your turn to raise a baby bat and watch as they repeat every single mistake you made. Full circle, right? Except now, you're the one flying out every night to find food for your kid while trying not to get eaten yourself. Fun. And let's not forget about the little things like climate change, habitat destruction, and all the humans who seem intent on making your life even harder. Every time you think you've found a quiet place to roost, someone decides to knock it down or flood it. It's like the universe is playing a never-ending game of how much worse can it get? Spoiler, it can always get worse. By the time you're a fully grown, seasoned adult, you'd think you'd have this whole bat life thing figured out. But no, the struggle continues. Your wings are getting worn out from years of nonstop flapping. Your reflexes aren't what they used to be, and those bugs just seem to get faster every year. You're basically a flying bundle of exhaustion, Just try to make it through one more night without ending up as some owl's midnight snack. And yet, despite it all, you keep going. Because that's what bats do. You adapt, you survive, and you keep flapping those tired wings like your life depends on it because, well, it does. So here's to you, adult bat. You've come a long way from that floppy little creature clinging to a cave wall. Sure, your life is still a mess, but at least now, you've got the skills to handle it. Kind of. In the end, being a bat isn't about thriving, it's about surviving with just enough dignity to keep going. And let's be honest, even that's a stretch.